duties of the area governor is to introduce the district governor. So I'm going to be telling you and sharing all this information that you have no clue about. You've never heard this before. Jennifer began her Lakeport Rotary career in early 1987 as a senior at Clear Lake High School. She was selected by the Rotary Club of Lakeport to represent the high school at their weekly club meetings as their first female student Rotarian, during a time when women were not quite yet allowed as members. Fast forward to '98, when she returned to Lakeport and joined Rotary as a full-fledged Rotarian. She's a two-time past president with her most recent service in 2015-16 during the Valley Fire in Lake County. She was the founding member of the Lake Area Rotary Fire Relief Fund with a simple idea. Maybe, just maybe, we might be able to raise $50,000 for our community. The newly created fund raised over $1 million in 2015 for the residents in Lake County affected by the fire, and was then expanded into the District 5130 District Relief Fund during the wildfires in 2017. She served for 3 years as a District 5130 grant chair, participated as a youth exchange club counselor and host parent, and is now the 2022-23 District 5130 governor. Jennifer is a certified financial planner, and she does it well. She owns and operates Strong Financial Network in Lakeport. She resides on her 6th-generation farm in Lake County and enjoys gardening, preserving food, scuba diving, traveling, and recently obtained her private pilot's license. Jennifer has become, for me, a friend through this last year. I mean, I've known her, I've respected her, I've admired her. But this year I call her a friend. And I am grateful, and I hope you are grateful for what she is about to share with us, because it is powerful.
Thank you, David. Oh, thank you so much for that. Okay, so this is such a cool thing for me to be home. Melissa and Ruth, I think Dennis might be floating around there somewhere too. Thank you so much for popping in here. And this is crazy. So this adventure for me started on July 8th. You all are 47 out of 47 clubs that I have been able to visit as I've traveled around, driving tens of thousands of miles, and it is so good to be home. And that's what this is home. And I know that there are some faces here that came out for this, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate you being here. So this is going to be a little bit different today. David, I know, came and did the Imagine Rotary program earlier this year. All of the area governors went out and did the program talking about the new Rotary International President, Jennifer Jones, the first female. He talked about some of the things that were happening within the district. He talked about some of the programs that we are making available for the clubs. He just talked about a little bit of the goals and some of the events and things that were happening. That's typically what a district governor does. So where does that leave me? Why am I here? Why am I here? Well, I am here with the concept of time. So when you think about time, now from that introduction that he gave, some of you already knew some of those things about me, some of you didn't, but you know something about my story. You know a little bit about what I love, you know a little bit about where I've been, you know a little bit about when I joined Rotary. But you don't know why I'm standing here today. You don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing with being district governor. So the concept of time. You know that I'm a financial planner. I deal a little bit with the world of commodities. Time, though, is the one commodity that once we spend it, we can no longer get it back. So no matter how hard you try, you are not going to get back the last 5 minutes of your life. So when we think of that in the context of Rotary, the magic is in the story. The magic is not when we join. The magic is why we're here. And the magic is in the story. Because I believe that once you know a little bit about someone's story, it leads to a little bit of understanding. Once you have understanding, that leads to acceptance. Once you have acceptance, that leads to trust. And once you have trust, you can accomplish anything. The magic in that story for Rotary is when it goes from here to here. When it goes from your head to your heart. Now, I'm going to say something right now that I've been saying now for about 6-7 months, and I'm pretty sure that eventually it's going to get me kicked out of being district governor. The Rotary International motto, service above self, is wrong. It's dead wrong. It needs to be changed. What should it be? I think that it should be service feeds self. Because the bottom line is that if we are not getting something out of the time that we are spending in Rotary, we're going to find something else to do with our time. If we're not getting something out of this that's feeding our soul, we're going to find something else to do with our time. So the magic is in the story, when it goes from your head to your heart. Now, I asked for a volunteer to come up with me and plop ourselves down on a couple of bar stools. And I'm going to learn a little bit about his story. Now, he knows a little bit about my story as well, but we're going to go a little bit deeper. So Jeff Warrenberg, will you come on up here and join me? And this is where you can give him an applause, because this is hard to do. All right, come on up here, Jeff. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to have a little conversation. We're going to share. Actually, can I use this microphone, or will I get feedback?
No.
I can use it? Okay. I can? Yes?
Yes, yes.
Grab a little picnic though.
I will. Yeah, I just... All right, so go ahead and have a seat, Jeff. All right, so we're going to start with a hard question. Now, let me preface something right now. Jeff doesn't have any idea what we're going to talk about. He has volunteered to come on up here and join me on a couple of bar stools in front of his club, which isn't necessarily always the easiest thing to do, right? So he has no idea what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to start with the easy question first. Can you tell me, Jeff, what year did you join Rotary and why did you join?
1999.
Okay.
I had a business in Concord, and I had a welder come over and do some welding for me, Stan Gaunt. And we got to talk to him and everything. He's doing a project for me, and he says, "You ever thought about Rotary?" I'm like, "Rotary? What's Rotary?" And he was telling me about Rotary. It's a service club, and he'd like to invite me to a meeting, so that's where it started.
But why did you say, yeah, I'll go to a meeting?
Well, because when he's explaining about Rotary, he was saying it's the way you give back to your community. So that's what got me.
All right, so you were looking for a way to get back to your community, and somebody actually invited you to come to a meeting, right? Okay. So I joined in 1998. You heard that a little bit in my story. I had just moved back to Lake County, and I had a one-year-old. I was in the middle of a divorce, and I was starting a financial planning business with an empty file cabinet. And I had remembered from my time of being a student Rotarian when I was in high school, of coming to Lakeport Rotary, back when Dawn had dark hair. And I remembered that was where all the movers and shakers were in the community, was in Rotary. So here I am trying to start a business, and so I elbowed my way in. So I joined for business purposes. I joined because it was going to be good for my business. Now, I'm sure that there's others in the room that have joined for that reason as well, and that's okay. You know, that's okay to join for that. But the question is, why did I stay? 25 years later, why did I stay? And I'm going to share with you why I stayed, and actually there's probably going to be some things that people in this room are going to learn about me that they didn't know, with a little bit of this story. But my question to you, you joined in 1999, which was a bunch of years ago. You joined because you wanted to give back, but it was still kind of up here. Can you tell me any particular instance or this time where you remember it going from here to here, where you remember that superhero cape? You know, we all get strapped on with a superhero cape when we join Rotary, where the cape started to flutter. Do you have a story that you could share with me?
Yes, I do, actually. So real quick, when I did join, one of the things he told me was that you know, you're not here to promote your business. You're here to give back to your community. This is what I remember. But having a business and doing what you're going to do, good things will come back to your business. To this day, I believe that. And anyway, so yeah, so I joined it, and you know, and a couple things, you know, and I kept seeing these people get Paul Harris's and all this, and I just was excited about that. But it was up here. I mean, I still was new and exciting. But when it really hit me was about 3 years after I joined Rotary. We did an international project, Club of Ecuador, in Ecuador. I can't remember the capital. Anyways, they reached out and wanted to do a project, and with prosthesis, where they bring, you know, with fake arms and stuff, you know, prosthesis, prosthetics. And so they wanted to build like a little, not a hospital, but a little shop where they could build those and give them away free to people who need them. So we did a project, and we need to raise our club $80,000. And, but in doing that, I'm trying to remember, this has been a long time. We were asked, there's four of us that were interested in going back to Ecuador and to learn about this project. Why are we giving them $80,000? We want to make sure this is a legit thing, and we want to know, and to follow up and after that. So we went on this journey to Ecuador, and got to meet some Rotarians there that housed us, and each of us went to a different Rotarian's house, which was really, really interesting. Anyway, so in that journey, we had to learn about what they want to do. We went to the club, the meetings and different things. But one of the things we got to do was tour Ecuador. And they would take us out on these back roads where it was just really rough. I mean, it was really rough. You know, I saw things where there was like 85-year-old women making these, you know, you go to these little stores and you buy these, I don't know what they're called, they're blankets, like made from Ecuador. Well, they get paid like $1 to make these big blankets. And they turn around and sell them for 25 or 30. But watching this 85-year-old lady struggling in pain, making these, and they only get like 50 cents for each one they do. It's like, wow. And then just, there's so many things. There's a woman, you know, they sleep on the ground. They have little huts and stuff. They sleep on the ground. This is in the backwoods of Ecuador. And it happens today. It's, you know, it's amazing. And, sorry, emotional. Sorry about that. It's just,
No, it's all right. So what happened?
So one time, so we're at this one little area, this little village, and they were talking about a school that has no restrooms, no running water, and the kids weren't in school, but we're getting showed this, and we ended up doing another project. We ended up building a bathroom for the school, but that's another thing. But anyway, so I remember sitting there, and we're all, you know, four of us were sitting here, and there was some Rotarians that were showing us around, and there's a little kid there. And so I went to this little store, this little country store, and I bought some candy to give to this kid. I kid you not, 10 to 15 kids started running down this long dirt road. It seemed like miles. Like these kids, I don't know, they saw what I was giving out or something. They just came running down. And of course, I had to go buy more candy and give them more candy. But they were just so excited to see someone there, and then it touched my heart. And then just seeing what we could do for that country, and it went from year to year.
So when you think about that, no, this is perfect. So what I heard in there was a couple of different things. Number one, you were a fairly brand new Rotarian. You'd only been in Rotary for 3 years, and you had this opportunity to go to this project in Ecuador to make sure that $80,000 to build prosthetic hands was going to be well spent. So that was what got you there to begin with, right?
Well, and the $80,000 what we raised, and then of course
and then there was the grants, the
match,
grants.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
So it gave you an opportunity also to see to see that it was a much bigger world out there, and that yet we were still also connected, right? I mean, that's kind of what I'm hearing with that. And then when you get there, you start realizing just how far $80,000 goes, and then you start realizing that the impact that you can have on other areas, like the bathrooms you mentioned. You ended up going and building bathrooms, right?
Yeah, that was a different project. We just, because we were there and we saw that, we ended up.
And then you had that
Another
opportunity with
project.
those little kids. So
Yeah.
there was, it kind of takes you down a path, huh?
Right. And
You go ahead.
also everything I've seen there, it was just, you know, they wash their clothes, they do dishes in this stream of water that's filthy, and it just makes me think, wow, we're so lucky.
You can make a difference.
And to this day, they're still living like that back there.
So let me ask you this. Would you have had the opportunity to be in that place at that time had it not been for Rotary?
No.
Okay. So, you know, it's interesting for me, mine involved a little kid too. So I joined in 1998, right? I've been in Rotary for a long time. I was a good Rotarian. I've been president twice, president-elect, a combined total of less than 6 months, because I'm that person that comes in when the president leaves. I was a good Rotarian. Now, in 2015, I wasn't supposed to be president. A couple months before our president-elect got a promotion and moved to Calistoga, and I wasn't supposed to be president that year. But what my own club doesn't even know is that I was getting ready to resign from Rotary at the beginning of 2015 because there was some multitude of things that were going on, but what had happened was that it wasn't feeding my soul anymore. And I was busy, my business had taken off, I had all these things that were going on, my son was really involved in a lot of stuff, and I actually had the letter of resignation written. And then our club president moved to Calistoga, and nobody would take it over. And so I decided, okay, I'll stick around and I'll do this one time, but I'm gonna get all the past presidents to help me, because I'm not doing this by myself. So I wasn't supposed to be president in 2015, but apparently I was. So the fire breaks out, 2/3 of our county is evacuated. The idea for the fire relief fund came up, and I thought, gosh, you know, maybe we can raise $50,000. I actually called Ruth Darling and Eileen Dumont and said, hey, I'm in Colorado, can you help get this started? I put together a flyer from my cell phone, stuck my name, my cell phone number, my email address, and the Rotary logo on it. Be very careful about putting those combination of things together. My phone and my email started blowing up. The $50,000 came in 3 days. My superhero cape that had been strapped on in 1998 started to flutter a little bit. But that wasn't the magic for me. So one of the other hats, as you all know, that I wear was the ride director of the Canocte Challenge. Everybody thought we were going to cancel it. It was 2 weeks to the day after the fire broke out. But we made a decision as a group that no, we're going to do this ride. We're going to have to cancel a couple of the routes because they're on fire, but we're going to do this ride anyway. Because the cyclists need to be here and the community needs to have the cyclists here. So the fire breaks out on a Saturday. Canocte Challenge is 2 weeks to the day later. My phone and my email are blowing up. The $50,000 has already come in. I'm standing in front of the Rotary Club meeting on that Wednesday, and I make a comment. Wouldn't it be great if we could replace a few of the bicycles for the little kids that have lost their bicycles in the fire? And wouldn't it be great if the families could come to the after ride barbecue and pick up those bicycles? And wouldn't it be great if the names of those little kids were on those bicycles? I made the comment and I kind of moved on. Put together a flyer, Rotary logo, cell phone, email address, got sent out. Fast forward 10 days. It's Canocte Challenge Day. Now mind you, I am so tired I can hardly stand. By this point, $500,000 has come in. I mean, it's crazy, everything that's going on. This truck shows up and bicycles start getting unloaded. And brand new bike helmets start getting unloaded. And I walk over to one of the bicycles and I look at it and it's got a tag on it with a little kid's name. And I go to the next bicycle, and it has a tag on it with a little kid's name. 200 bicycles all lined up around the railing at the Skylark. To this day, I'm not really sure who did it. I have a sense that it was probably Lance and his crew, but I'm not really sure. But somewhere in that meeting, there was enough trust for somebody to take that and run with it. The 200 bicycles wasn't even the magic. So I'm so tired I can hardly stand. I can feel a tug on my leg. And I turn around, and there's a little girl standing there with a pink bicycle in her hand, a pink helmet on her head, and tears strolling down her face. She's probably 4. And she looks up at me with these tears rolling down her face, and she says, "Are you Miss Strong?" And I kneeled down and I said, "Yes, I am." And I will never to this day forget what she said. My family and I are still living in the big house with all the other families, AKA the shelter. The monster took my bike. Can I give you a hug? And that little girl reached up and she put her arms around my neck and she gave me a hug. And my superhero cape went whoosh. Because it was at that moment that I understood why. Right? It was that moment that I understood why. Now what I didn't know was that her grandmother snapped a picture of it with her cell phone. And I've kept it in a frame in my office for years. I brought it with me. Do you want to see it?
Yep.
All right. So this little girl's name was Emma. And what you can't see is the tears that are rolling down my face at that very moment when that little girl put her arms around my neck and gave me a hug. The question that I have for you, Jeff, when I think about that moment for me, from somebody who my own club didn't even know that I was getting ready to resign from Rotary, and when I think about that moment right there, it wasn't about the $1 million that was raised, it wasn't about 3,000 trees we planted, it wasn't about any of that. It wasn't even about giving away 200 bicycles in one day. When you think about those little kids that were chasing you down in that trip that you had to Ecuador, the question I have for you is who changed more in that? You or the rest of the world?
I think I did. I did. Because today, I talk about I get emotional thinking about it. So that's 20 years ago. So know what we did and the lives that we've affected in a great way. And what Rotary does, that's what it's all about.
That is what it's about. And I will tell you that that moment right there changed me as a person more than it's ever changed anything else in the world. And it's when I understood why. So I have something for you. I have a gift for you because it is never easy to be asked to blindly do something and you have no idea what you're being asked to do and to volunteer and say yes. So I have for you a gift. This is a sun catcher, and this sun catcher, crystal sun catcher, has the Imagine Rotary logo on it. But it's also inscribed with a saying that says, "The sun shines not on us, but in us." And I can honestly say that the sun definitely shines in you. But I would ask that wherever it is that you hang this, that every time that you look at it, and when the sun glits through it and splatters against a wall, that you look at that and are reminded of the difference that we can make not only in the world and our community by being in Rotary, but the difference that happens in ourselves. And so please remember that whenever you look at it, wherever it's being hung. Thank you for coming and doing this with me.
Can I want to say one more thing?
Yeah.
I just want to read something real quick. That really definitely says it all. It's in the bottom of your email. I think it's important that we know this. Rotary takes ordinary men and women and gives them extraordinary opportunities to do more with their lives than they ever dreamed of possible. That's by Clem Renouf. Yeah, I just want to say that.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, thank you. That's where the magic happens, is when it goes from your head to your heart. So I'm going to ask you guys to take a couple of minutes. You all trusted me enough when you walked in this door to put your hand into a bag and to reach in and grab a piece of paper and maybe sit next to somebody that you don't normally sit next to. Maybe in a spot in the room that you don't normally sit in. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes, and I want you now to talk to the people in your area. It can be the person next to you, it can be a small group, whatever that is. And what I want you to do is to share with whoever it is that you're with something in Rotary that has touched your heart, if you've had that opportunity, where it goes from your head to your heart. All right, so I want you to talk for the next couple of minutes. Now, what I'm going to do when I bring you back is I'm going to ask for a volunteer or two to tell me something that you learned about someone else. All right, go.